at that point, I was like, okay, I was dumb before. I'm not dumb anymore. And I said, what are you going to do about it? If I don't go, like, what are you going to do about it? And she said, well, we're going to send officers to your house, and we're going to force you into quarantine. And I was like, send them all!
Please give a warm welcome to Gabriela Quiroz.
I love when people tell me, you have a thick accent. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Thank you for letting me know. You're so kind. Someone told me, if you've been in the US for many years, how come you haven't lost your accent? And I say, well, I've lost my keys, I've lost my cell phone, I've lost boyfriends, but I haven't lost my accent yet. Maybe I should accidentally leave it at the restaurant right next to your common sense. But no, I don't get offended. There's actually plenty of white people willing to get offended in my behalf. So I let them. Everyone needs a hobby. But being an immigrant is tough, you know? How many here are immigrants? Great. How many of you eat dogs or cats? Well, when people want to coerce you into fear, they claim that you want to hurt what they love the most. In this case, it wouldn't be your wife or your kids, it'd be your pets. Now, pets are awesome, and they're tastier. So, yeah, being an immigrant, it's like having 3 tabs open at all times. Like, one is in English, the other one is, in my case, in Spanish, and the other one is your mom telling you that you're not eating enough at all times. And have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like you're walking on eggshells 24/7? That's exactly what it feels like to be an immigrant. Because in order to get your citizenship, you have to be the perfect citizen. Like, you cannot get away with what, like, most of Americans can get away with. For example, you can have, like, traffic tickets, or be late on your taxes, or drive with weed in your car, or have freak offs, or murder someone. You have to be like an all-knowing American history student, perfectly English-speaking person, and you have to be a saint. And so it is hard, especially when the FBI calls you at 5 a.m. in the morning and you're not a citizen. It's very scary. It's almost like there's a sense of curiosity as well, because you're like, I've gotten the FBI's attention. I must be doing something well, or very wrong, or like Trump would say, very, very bad. You know? And if this happened to me, like, I got this call. I had just come back from abroad, and It was 5 a.m. in the morning. I had spent many hours at the airport because they had, the officers had stopped me for like 3 hours. They were doing interrogations to all the immigrants, and it was very scary. I was very scared and stressed and tired when I was woken up by this call. And the officer that spoke to me, his name was James, and he gave me his ID number, his officer number, the case, everything, and he told me that my name was connected to a serious crime that had happened near the border in Texas, that they had found a car that had been the scene of a crime, and they have found that it had my documents, my name in it, and it had 9 kilos of cocaine. And I was like, just waking up. This is, if you're looking for like something to wake you up, this will wake you up. And I was like, what? What's going on? And he informed me that if I actually was responsible for this crime, I was facing at least 10 years in prison. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he was like, well, maybe this is a case of like someone stole your identity. Like, have you been in Texas lately? And as a matter of fact, I had been in Texas 3 months prior. And I said, well, yeah. And he said, can you think of anybody that could be stealing your identity? And I was like, no. But then as a woman, the first thought I was thinking is my ex, you know? But then I remembered that I had been to Venezuela, and in Venezuela, I had been, my wallet got robbed, and I lost my green card and all my documents. And I thought, well, maybe that's end up in like the black market, and who knows what happened, and you know. And he said, well, we are monitoring all your movements, and we are sending 2 officers to your home right now. And if you don't cooperate with us, you are going to be in big trouble. And, you know, as an immigrant, that was a very scary thing to hear. I got so anxious, and in the process, I hung up the call. And then when he tried to call back, there was a thing that came up on my phone that said, possible scam. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh, shit. I mean, even though it didn't go farther, I felt violated, I felt mocked, and I felt stupid. Like, stupida, no? And I couldn't believe it. And the next days, I realized that my phone, my number had been leaked, and like there were some like professional scammers, like, you know, making calls, and I would not respond. I would get all these calls like all the time, and I would not respond to them because I knew that my number had been leaked. And then all of a sudden I get this text from a nurse, and her name was Christina and was from the health department. And I said, she said in the text, this is the health department of the United States, and you need to call us right away because this is an emergency. And I ignored it. And then the next day, I got a phone call from a Santa Monica number. And I picked up, and she said she was like the nurse Christina. And she said, this is the health department. And I was like, you guys are shameless. Like, how dare you do this? Like, how dare you do this to people? I was so angry, frustrated with her. And she was like, ma'am, we really need you to come in. And if you don't come, or if you don't do what we are asking you to do, you are going to be put in quarantine for 21 days. And at that point, I was like, okay, I was dumb before. I'm not dumb anymore. And I said, what are you going to do about it? If I don't go, like, what are you going to do about it? And she said, well, we're going to send officers to your house, and we're going to force you into quarantine. And I was like, send them all! Send the officers, send the police, send the doctors, send the ICE. I don't care. Like, 21 days sounds so much better than the 10 years I was promised 2 days ago. And so, she said, ma'am, this is serious. We left a letter at your place. So to make a point, I walk downstairs, I go to the mail, and I open the mail, and there is a letter from Christina, from the health department. Yeah, it wasn't a scam. And I spent the rest of the day being tested and, going through a whole thing. Not too long after that, the government shut down everything. We all went into quarantine for over 21 days. And I guess the good thing about it was, like, I didn't have to have awkward conversations with people about my accent or about my, like, drug-fueled murderous crimes. Thank you.